Welcome back. This is Jeff Byers, and I'm going to take you through how to finish adding constraints and controllers to your character, so to the joint system. So we're going to try to finish up rigging, and I need you to do a couple things first. So in your perspective viewport, I want you to go to Show, and I want you to click on None, and then go back to Show, and I want you to select NURBS curves, NURBS surfaces, NURBS CVs, polygons, joints, and locators. We'll need all of these on to be able to finish our rigging. Alright, so after you do that, I'll need you to go to Show, and we're going to be turning these off and on. So I'm going to show None right now. Show None. And then it turns everything off, and then I'm going to go to Show Polygons. And that should show all the polygons in your scene. So I'm going to click on the polygons in my scene. And I'm going to click and add a new layer. Okay, I'm going to call that new layer Character. And we're going to turn that character off for now. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to show, again, we got polygons showing. Let's show the NURBS curves. Okay. So now the curves are showing. So now I'm going to select all of the curves, and we're going to place them in a layer and call those curves. Actually, I should probably call them controllers. Change my mind. There we go. Alright, controllers. I'm going to turn those off. And then I'm going to go to Show, NURBS surfaces, Show, NURBS CVs, Show, joints. Okay, now joints is something we need to place that in a layer as well. So let's go ahead and select all the joints and place those into a layer called Joints. Alright. And we can turn that off and on. Alright, so we want to keep the joints on, and I think we're missing that reverse foot, so let me go into Show All. Yeah, Show All. Okay. So somehow, for some reason, the reverse foot is missing on mine. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Let me see, did it go into control? Oh, it's under controllers. Because the controllers are snapped to it, so that's okay. That's fine. Okay, so I think the biggest thing is to separate the rig, the joints from, and the controllers from the skeleton or from the character. So there's a couple things I do want to do. In the character, I do want to take away, make sure the eyes are out. So I'm going to click on the eyes. Now, if you have corneas or modeled corneas, you'll need to combine those. Now, make sure that everything's textured, though. So have all the textures on, and you can combine the eye and the cornea. You want to keep them separate, though. So the left eye cornea and the eye together, and then the right eye and cornea together. I don't have a cornea right now, so I'm just going to click on the eyes. Okay, and I am going to go to Character, make sure that's selected, right click over it and go to Remove Selected Objects. There we go. So now when I click off the character, it should leave the eyes. Okay. Now if you can't get that to work, what you do is you select the eyes and add it to another layer, or you can take the character and just remove all objects and then try it again. Okay? That's how you can solve that issue. Sometimes it gets stuck. So this is what I really want to work with today. I want to work with this. Okay? So before I start, I do want to say that you need to delete by types history and freeze transformations and all of these controllers. If there are any controllers that have any type of translation, then it won't work. I mean, any. So make sure that everything is modified, and you can do this by turning off. Let's go ahead and click on the eyes and add them to its own layer real quick, so we can easily get to those. Alright, so that will be an eye layer. Alright. Okay, so we'll turn that off. And I guess the head somehow got in that, so let's remove that object. There we go. Okay, so, and then I'm going to turn off the joints, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything above the waist, the waist and above, and just make sure everything is zeroed out. So I just go to Delete by Type History up here, and Freeze Transformations. You can also go to Edit, Delete by Type History, or you can go to Modify, Freeze Transformations. Okay, that's essential. So let's go back into our, open up our layers for the eyes and the controllers, and we'll start with the COM. Click, select the COM control, shift select the root joint. It should say right here, root joint. And we need to do an orient constraint. So hold down the space bar, go to constrain, and go to orient. And you need to go into the option box. Always go in there. And I want you to click on maintain offset. Click on add. Click off. Okay. Anywhere in the gray area, and then select it again. Select the COM control, and just select the root joint. And we're going to go back into constraint, and this time we're going to add a parent constraint. Go into the option box, and make sure that is maintain offset is on. Click add. Perfect. Alright, so now we've got that done. Now we're going to move up to the hip control. The hip control would be is snapped to the hip joint. So select the hip control, shift select the hip joint, hold down the space bar, go to constrain, and go to orient constraint. Just go into the option box. Make sure maintain offset is on. Click add. Okay. So now we've got the hip constraint and the orient constraint. So what we're going to do now is, because the feet have already been taken care of and the knees have been taken care of, as far as constraints go, we are going to move up the body now. Okay? And we're going to add an orient constraint to every single one of these. So we're going to click on the back control, and we're going to shift select the back joint, and we're going to go in here to constrain, and we're going to go to orient constraint, and in the option box. And so I'm going to click, make sure that's maintain offset, and click add. Now we're going to do this to every single one of these. So I'm going to do this quickly now by clicking on the appropriate control and the joint and hitting the G key. Appropriate control, the joint, hitting the G key. I'm going to go through every one of these. Okay. Don't miss a thing. I'm just hitting the G key. Okay, and that's going to basically do the command that I did before, so I don't have to keep going in and hitting the space bar. The G key, there we go. And I'm just doing exactly what I've been doing. And we're going to add orientation constraint to all of these. So I always click on the controller first, and then the joint, and then hit the G key. Alright, so we continue doing that. You do have to do this by hand. You cannot mirror this over. It will give you undesirable results. So I'm going to go to the other arm. You can see that this can go pretty fast. We don't want to do anything here at the twist, forearm twist. Alright, so again, just remember to click on the controller first and then the joint. Otherwise it won't work. And we want it to work the first time. There we go. Because it is essential that you click and choose the, I don't know why that happened, so just ignore that. Make sure you select the control and the joint. That's what you have to do to get it to work properly. Otherwise the constraint won't work. Alright, just about done. Okay, and we'll do the neck. The head. Okay, awesome. So if you want to know if you did it right, what you can do, we're not going to do the eyes. What we can do is you can look at the joints. So if you click on the back joint, you can see that over here on the right under the channel editor, you can see the rotational orientation has been changed, meaning that it's been blocked out and it's been constrained. You can see if I hold over that, you can see it says constrained. So that's a good sign that you got a constraint on that joint. If you're not sure, you don't have to go through every joint, but if something isn't working, it's probably because you did not add a constraint to it. So you can double check that way if you want to. I don't feel like I need to go through everything, so that looks good. The next thing we're going to do is we want to parent these controllers to each other now. Okay, so that's important. So what we're going to do is, because we don't really need to see the joints, but it's kind of nice to have them there just to kind of know where we're at. So we're going to now do parenting. So now we're going to parent controllers in a hierarchy. So we're going to start with the hip control, and we're going to click on the hip control, shift select the COM control, and hit P for parent. Okay. We're going to hit the knee controls, so one knee at a time, and just select the COM control and hit P. Select the other knee control and the COM control and hit P. There we go. So when I click on the COM control, if you did it right, you will see the hip controller and the knee controllers highlight green. Alright, we're going to move on to the back control. So we're going to select the back control and then the COM control. This is important. The back control and then the COM control, hit P. And then the back control, click off, and then click the chest control and shift select the back control and hit P. Alright. And we're going to do the head control. And then we're going to click on the neck control and hit P. We're going to click on the neck control and then the chest control and hit P. So if everything looks right, if I click on the neck, only the head controller highlights. If I click on the chest, the neck and the head highlight. If I click on the back, the chest and those highlight. And if I click on the COM control, everything should highlight at this point, not the arms or the eyes. Alright, so now we're going to move down to the fingers. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. Select this finger and the hand, hit P. Select this finger, controller, and the hand controller, hit P. Select the middle finger controller and the hand controller, hit P. And select the ring finger or the index finger and the hand controller, hit P. And the thumb controller and the hand controller, hit P. We'll select the hand control and the wrist control and hit P. We'll select the wrist control and the elbow control and hit P. We'll select the elbow controller and the shoulder control and hit P. I think I got it. There we go. So if I select the shoulder, it will highlight all of those together, and that's hierarchy. That's a hierarchy chain. So I'm going to select the shoulder, and I'm going to shift select the chest and hit P. So when I select the COM, you'll see that everything will highlight on this side of the arm, and that's a hierarchy chain of commands. So we've got a hierarchy here. So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and finish up the other side of the arm, and we'll come back. So do the same thing to the other side, and we'll come right back.